Sorry about that.
Oh, I gotta go, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Mayor. I know, about water. It was not about water. Had nothing to do with water. I won't get into the
Ladies and gentlemen,
I won't.
it's 7 p.m. and we are met in the capacity of the American Fork City Council. It is October 14th of 2025. We appreciate everybody that is in attendance. We know there is a vast audience beyond this on our YouTube channel watching, and everything that we say and do here today will be documented on the city's website to be transparent and for the public. We'll begin, and we'll follow the agenda as outlined. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, after which an invocation will be offered by Councilmember Stacy Carroll, and then I'll conduct the roll call. If everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. We're grateful for our many blessings. We're grateful that we could be here together, that we could govern ourselves as a community. Please bless us this evening that we will have clear heads and hearts. Please bless us to make wise decisions. Please bless all those in our public safety as they protect the city. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. I'll now conduct the roll call. Councilmember Hunter.
Here.
Councilmember Holly.
Here.
Councilmember John.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Okay, item number 2 on our regular session is time that we set aside for the public to come forward and to bring up any item they would like for the mayor, the council, the senior staff. I have one that has written notice. We're not limited to this one, but we'll start with this one. So Karen McCoy. And if you'd come up, we would ask you to keep your comments brief, and then just, I know I said your name, but will you state your name for the public record?
My name is Karen McCoy. I'm a resident of American Fork and have been for 61 years. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Okay, good evening. I'm here tonight to express my concerns about the animal shelter and the high number of kills. I'd like to thank all of you that I spoke with before on this issue, and I appreciate Councilman Hunter for taking extra time with me and Holly Sizemore from Best Friends for a step in the right direction. In our discussion, it was clear trying to work with the shelter was going nowhere, even though collaboration with the shelter would help save lives faster. Doug has shown he's not ready to collaborate. So I'm here because I don't think we have to wait for the shelter. I think our city can lead the change. It'll be baby steps to address all of the problems with pets, as it starts with responsible pet ownership. But we all know there will always be some that are not willing to step up or open their minds to solutions. We must acknowledge that bad pet owners are not the whole problem. Community cats exist in every city. They will continue no matter who we blame. This is why cities across Utah and the nation are leaning to humane ways to work to solve the problem. I think the first step is to get each city in the county to address the community cat problem. This should have positive outcome for community cats, your citizens, and their pets. The highest number of kills at the shelter are cats, with only 60% in Utah County leaving the shelter alive. Many cities across the nation have adopted TNBR policies to lower the number of community cats, which create the high number of cats at the shelter. By addressing this first, getting the number of animals to the shelter down, helping your constituents with concerns of community cats, either being positive or negative, it will be a step in the right direction. Many of you may not know how TNBR works. Trap, neuter, vaccinate, return is a great program. Community cats, which are feral, free-roaming cats, tend to multiply quickly. They cause a nuisance to some or an overwhelming task of trying to take care of others. If they're trapped, spayed, neutered, or vaccinated, which makes them healthier, they're returned to the place of trapping. They establish colonies, which can be more manageable. Cats that have been done have their ear tipped, so they are easily recognized and continue to benefit the area by catching mice, but not overwhelming the neighborhood. I personally helped with colonies and I've emailed each of you information. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know. I hope you consider placing information on social media pages for this city. It's information about, they're doing free spay neuter at the Orem Clinic for best friends. I did forward all of that information to you, so if you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Holly Sizemore or Best Friends.
Karen, let me ask you, have you had a one-on-one with the representative on the board from American Fork?
Not the current representative, but when Josh Christensen, I believe was his name, I had a nice meeting with him, and then he was no longer over that position, so I talked to, is our chief named Cameron Paul?
Yes.
I spoke with him, and then the next gentleman has retired, so he is no longer there, and the other one's been down there. I've been to the North Utah County Board meetings, or the Special Service District meetings multiple times, and I have not spoke with him direct. I would be willing to go chat with him.
Can I do that? So in the back room is, Chief was there for a very short time as a placeholder, but we now have Lieutenant Garcia, who is, or not Lieutenant, Archuleta.
Okay.
Lieutenant Archuleta. I would like to have you have a one-on-one with him, and I'm happy to attend or grab a council member, because I think this is two-pronged. I love the fact that you care. You know, a lot of people don't, and I respect that, and I think that we ought to kind of move forward in a dual-pronged approach with, and so we only have control over one vote, but I think it's important that you're heard from that, and so he gets that perspective, and maybe we can create a plan.
I would love to chat with him.
Okay.
Do I just email him direct?
You know what,
or?
so I'm gonna have you get the chiefs back there.
Okay.
He will coordinate that, broker that meeting.
Okay.
And we'll, again, one of the council will be that meeting as well. We'll make it work.
Okay.
You've brought something to light that we don't know, and I think
Well, I know you discussed 2 or 3 weeks ago about pet
Yeah.
issues.
it's a problem.
And
It's
this is,
a
I think, the
challenge.
first step to help with that problem, and as the numbers lower, it will only benefit the community
Yeah.
and the little critters, which I'm concerned about.
And in the end, you know what it does? It saves taxpayer dollars.
It does,
really
and
does.
lives.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So Chief, if you'll grab her, and, okay. Is there anybody else that would like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and move on to item number 3, report from our city administrator. David?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one thing. Last Thursday, there was an open house at the fire department for the community. And I just want to thank our public safety. Both our fire and police have community nights where they invite the community to come visit with them. The police department has a crime night out against crime. That's typically in August. Lots of members of the community come to that. But also the open house at the fire station was well attended. Hundreds of people came. And it's a great feeling to have a partnership with our residents. They really are the eyes and ears of what goes on in our community, and having this open house is just a way for us to say thank you and make sure that we keep those relationships with our residents, because they're so important. And so I'd just like to thank our public safety department for doing that.
Okay. Thank you, David. Now move on to council reports. Start with Councilmember Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to maybe echo the same comments. I did have the opportunity, Karen came to the Meet the Candidates night. I probably ought to just give a plug before I get into that, but just want to thank the Chamber for hosting the Meet the Candidates night. That was well done. There was numerous people there, not as many as we'd like to see. Obviously, it's similar to these kind of meetings, but for those that were in attendance, and the nice thing about that and this meeting is that we have that ability to have those recorded and pass those out. I'd encourage anybody or everyone who votes to look into that and read and find the candidates that best fit and meet their things. But I just want to thank the time and energy for the Chamber Board and those that hosted that event. But at that event, Karen came up and talked to, I think, all of us, and I had the opportunity just this last week to visit with her and Holly from Best Friends. I learned a ton. I'm pretty ignorant to the whole thing, but I loved the approach of just being able to come up with something. You know, they're willing to host and fund it, and Karen's willing to be the trap donation center, and so really it is just an awareness campaign from the city's standpoint that I think would be a really valuable tool. Again, one prong, I think that you mentioned, is it's going to take multiple prongs to that, and certainly may very well include code changes and things like that. But I really appreciated what was there and the willingness. So many people want to complain about something without really stepping to the table and the mic numerous times and being able to say, hey, I'm willing to, make this effort happen and make something happen, and it was just really appreciated. I certainly don't believe that this fixes everything, but I think it is something that just, again, saves us money. There is no expense to the city. We have an opportunity to do the TVNR, trap, vaccinate, neuter, and return.
Just sick
Yeah, I can't even do the alphabet, let alone know what it means, but it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that they taught me that when they go through that process, they do dock their ears of the cats and having that, and then maybe as neighborhoods and we see those problem areas, if they're all, docked ears, then at least we know that we're making a difference and it's not proliferating, I guess, so to speak. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think our community's full of people that are willing to speak up and do things, whether it's, special needs swings in the parks or trap and vaccinate, for free cats in our areas. Hopefully we don't catch the raccoons that are problematic too. But anyway, that's all I had to say, and that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Councilmember Holly.
Just have a couple of quick things. Our cemetery committee met a couple weeks ago, and they're going to be bringing something that has been discussed, I think, among most of us already around the Veterans Wall. They're going to be bringing that to a work session about kind of the future of how we're going to do the Veterans Wall in the cemetery, how we want to move forward with that. So that's just something that we're still talking about internally, but then will be brought forward to either a work session, most likely, or a city council meeting. Kind of piggybacking on Ryan's comment around the election that's coming up, I think ballots are getting mailed out today, actually, and so you should be seeing your ballots very soon. So I would encourage everybody to research the candidates, especially around the school district members, because that's one of the big things that we're creating a new school district, and we want to obviously have that be successful, and the school board is a big part of that. So I would definitely recommend everybody researching the candidates as they look to fill out their ballots over the next couple weeks. And then just a final thing, I always say this, but whenever I go traveling, I'm always grateful to travel and to see new places, but I'm always grateful to come back to American Fork and to call it home. It's so amazing how blessed we are to live here, to work here, to raise families here. You go to some places where they don't have the opportunities, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the quality of life that we have here, and some people dream of living in places like American Fork, and so I'm blessed to be able to go visit places and then come back here and call this home. And it's a whole community, whole society effort from the city staff, police, and the people that live here. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you for that report. Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. Being Councilmember Holly and Councilmember Hunter said I couldn't talk about water, I guess I have nothing to report tonight.
No, you know what, I'm going to force you to report at least one thing. I mean, I know it's a big day tomorrow.
Irrigation season ends tomorrow, and I'm pretty happy. That'll give us 6 months to regroup for next year and be ready for our metering and all the new things that we've got to roll in as a city, and it's going to be a busy 6 months. But yes, I get to relax for a bit.
And we're hoping for a very
wet
prosperous year.
Yes.
We had a great October, right?
Yeah.
That's
So-
the wettest, did I read that?
Seventh wettest across the state right now. Yeah, in October. So we're hopeful, but if we're still, if you look at the year as a whole, we still are a little bit low, but we'll get there.
Okay, thank you for that report on the water. Councilmember Carroll.
I have nothing to report tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Taylor?
I just want to jump in on the best friends comment, because I've had a lot of feedback, and I read online a lot of stuff when we started talking about limiting the number of pets. And social media is what it is, which is a lot of complaining and very few solutions, unfortunately. And these guys come and bring a solution. When you think of $130,000 is what we pay to take animals to the shelter, $130,000 for just American Fork to take animals to the shelter. This is someone who has brought a solution, or at least something that would make a difference. And I'm excited about it. I think it's something that we need to tout and we need to get behind, because I think it would make a tremendous difference. Because I don't want it ever to be misinterpreted that we think, oh, well, people can't take care of the animals, so their city's going to do it. Every city around us has one of these policies before we do. We're trying to put something in place that can be effective for people and help the situation, help the neighbors and all of that. And I really like what Karen said. I received the email again today, but I would push for us to be behind that. And I'm quite excited about something like that. Humane solution.
All right, thank you for that report. Mayor's report, I'm going to tag a little bit on it. Karen's not here, so I'm going to have to say, hey, you got to go back and listen to this or watch it. But Karen McCoy, as she's here offering up, again, a solution, something that would perhaps work, something for consideration. And I think we have a consensus. That is a very good thing to really look at, and at least the start of an education on helping people to control their own pets. But Karen was the one that ultimately started the efforts to save American Fork Canyon from expansion of snowbird. And she was the one that sent out the email. She saw, she was alarmed, she knew what was happening, and she sent something out into social media, and it was there, picked up, and then momentum just started. But it was somebody like her, and it was her that started that whole process. And we have the North Fork right now, and we have access to that because because of Karen. So, you know what, you think you can't make a difference just because you're one person? That is not true. Karen's very much evidence of that. So thanks to her, and thanks to everybody else that might think, or if they have something in their mind, please come, let's talk about it. That's what local government is for. So that is my report, and we'll move on to the common consent agenda. It is comprised of the 3 items on the agenda. Has there been any noted changes of the minutes? Okay, is there any questions that the council has? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd move to pass the common consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on the motion? I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, item number 1 on the action items. It is review and action on a resolution approving a land use map amendment known as Maxwell Square, located at 148 North, 100 East. The land use map amendment will be on approximately .93 acres and is in the residential high density and will change to the general commercial land use designation. Thank you, Patrick, for coming up. If you'll just go ahead and just kind of give us an intro into this. And I want to make it clear on the public record, I try to do this every time we meet, but I don't often, but I want it to be understood that the council has a packet that we receive the week prior that we get to review it, and try to understand it, ask questions in advance if needed, or we come here. So these are not decisions made in haste. We are well vested in learning. So, but I think it's good for just a good synopsis.
Thanks, Mayor. So there's a .93 acre parcel of land just off First East, north of Pacific First North. It's currently under the land use designation. of residential high density, and the applicant seeking to shift that to general commercial land use. This is a part of a multi-pronged approach which will have a follow-up zone change request if the land use amendment is approved. It's in relation to trying to achieve a goal for their development. They are anticipating putting in a mixed-use development. I think townhomes towards the back of the project with ground floor fronting, fronting First East with a commercial/retail component. We've gone over kind of a number of different proposals and options and layouts. Naturally, that's all dependent on an approval of a land use amendment and a subsequent zone change. Part of the overall property that they're looking at, that this would incorporate, currently has the CC1 land or CC1 zone change, but the underlying land use doesn't conform. And then there's the northern portion of this that doesn't have either land use or zone conforming to what they want to do. So the request is to try and bring the land use into compliance overall for the entire project, but then also come back potentially, if approved with the land use change, for a subsequent zone change for that remaining piece of the proposed project. A change is fully at the council's discretion. 1711 of our city code outlines the requirements that need to be met for amendments to take place, and then all through 1711 of our municipal code, each of the steps that need to be followed in relation to a petition being submitted by an applicant, and that is related specific to zoning, but this starting as a land use map or general plan amendment would precede that, because our ultimate goal is to have our zoning and our land use compliant and conforming with one another. I think there's significant information in the packet about project proposal, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any on the actual application for the land use itself. Nothing in relation to the proposal for layout or anything would be binding at this point. There's no vesting related to this application at present.
Mayor?
Yeah.
So I realize, this is just the land use. Today at 5:15, I was selling something to someone, and we agreed to meet at the church just above 1120 in the parking lot, and I sold at about 5. I looked at my clock in my truck, and it was 5:33 in the afternoon. I waited 4.5 minutes to make a right-hand turn onto First East to go into traffic. I finally got in there. I got in, I headed down, and I knew I was going to go straight down First East, so I got in the turning lane, and I passed 17 cars as I went down to make a left-hand turn on 11. And is that well, I understand. It's got to be bad.
All right, I'll sit down.
It's terrible, and I bet this is what we want to do. We want to have commercial. We've already been in a big row with that, having commercial on the bottom level, but I look at this from the standpoint of many of those residents that I know around there, but most of all, I look at it from the standpoint of traffic on First East. Try to make a left-hand turn off of headed south. Try to make a left-hand turn onto 300 North. If you're 3 cars back, you're not getting through. It's a steady stream of cars, and maybe late at night, there's more of that. There is absolutely no way in the world I can see 76 parking spaces. Can I see 36 units of new traffic being dumped onto First East? I know this has nothing to do with what kind of quality development that it will be, but all of a sudden we're going to have a 55-foot tall, I know it's just land use, but this is the plan, 55-foot tall building sitting there in that area of fourplexes and single-family homes. I can't get on board. I know we have the R, 7500, R4, 75, that's right there. I would love to see something commercial go in there, but I cannot get behind throwing that much more traffic onto First East. I don't know how we'll do it, and we don't even control First East, it's a state road. So I'm just laying all my cards out for all you guys early. That's where I sit in this. This is what we want. We want, commercial on the bottom, residential on the top, but I've tried to be objective and look through all of this, and I can't do it.
And I appreciate all that, because ultimately the change request now will reflect what an end use will be. So one of the things that we have changed in terms of our process is identifying all of the supporting documents. You see there's a significant amount of information that was provided in relation to this. We've made that change over the last couple of months with projects, because you just get the bare information and you have no understanding of potential impacts or anything else down the line. And all of that is to help and aid in ultimately council being able to make an informed decision of an understanding of everything that goes in there. I think the point that you made about impacts to traffic, we haven't seen the full impact yet, but city's neighbour, still on First East, opposite side of the road adjacent to our parking lot, traffic control measures that we had asked to be placed in there, UDOT requested was pulled out, so you still have the potential for people to turn that way, it never will be able to.
It's just a tough situation, and again, it doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the development. I bet they're fantastic developers, but there's just no way I can get behind sticking that much more traffic on First East. And then sticking a 55-foot tall building right there amongst all, I don't know, can't do it.
I think my concern, well, that needs to be addressed. I don't mean to change the subject.
Go ahead. No,
But I think when
floor's
when I was reading this, my concern was also, I'm trying to pull up the zoning map, right? That's why I'm staring at my computer, but also where the line is between commercial and residential, and if we have a delineation there, what makes the most sense for that, like, making a line. Do you know what it is already?
I'll pull it up here. It's, if you can go down in the packet, it actually shows the existing zone map.
Yeah, this looks like
It's
a
our
land use map to
For
me.
7,500.
Here, I have a, here is so 150 north, you know where that is? It's, if you draw a line directly across from that,
yeah.
it's the parcel south of that, so it's not actually in line with 150 north, it's south of it, and that's one of the things that we had looked at
So it
on
is
the staff
already
level as we
kind of
as we
on the right
discussed
side.
with the, with the applicant, what would make sense, and it's like that
61.
line of 150, that's where everything goes up on the other side of the street, up as far as, it's like, that seems to be a reasonable delineation point. However, that's got an artificial boundary, but it's physical with 150 north being the roadway. There is no boundary point on that unless you go the whole way up to 300, which seems an excessive push for a zone change, which is why we looked at a mid-block understanding. I guess, Councilmember Taylor, on your point of traffic impact, if there was an alternative access point to that pulled people out in and out.
I read that. I read that they were looking for that. I mean, that would serve a little bit of would we restrict them from going out onto First East? Would they have to exit onto Grand Avenue? Would they have to exit onto First North? If they exit on First North, it's still a disaster. I don't know. I can't see it working.
It'd be a right in, right out,
Yeah,
I think,
right
is
to
the
only.
extent of what we could restrict, but.
You brought up the one behind us here, and this, UDOT's the one that canceled the right-in, right-out.
We had a pork chop required there, and they had.
And UDOT canceled the right-in, right-out. So even though that is what we can require, UDOT superseded us and said, no, you're not gonna have
Yeah,
that
because that
on
was,
this
I think that
current.
was in there right away.
So that was my point.
We don't even get to control that. That's my concern.
Mayor? Go ahead, Ryan. I've got a couple concerns I think that follow right in. This traffic is obviously one of them. I'm up and down that road a lot. I don't know what point of traffic study is warranted, Patrick, but I mean, I couldn't even come close to getting behind this until we really knew what's there. But I mean, just driving it, I think we're all pretty well convinced that traffic-wise, this is a mess. And then if you look at 18 one-bedroom units, 18 two-bedroom units, and only 2,600 square foot of ground business space, if we're trying to codify what we did last time, it should be 3,600 square foot of business space, and they've got 2,026 projected. That doesn't even meet what we were trying to do.
That was a different requirement that was imposed through development.
For that development,
For a
but-
specific thing. We don't have that in our code right now. Our current requirement is that it's a percentage of the ground floor would need to be, so whatever their
Whatever the ground footprint is, it
square
would
footage
be.
is, it would be 25, 50, 75, or 100, depending on the location. This would be on a northern level, so it wouldn't be triggering the 100%, I wouldn't imagine. However, it is on main arterial route in the city. First East is a very important road
Right.
in the community for people, bringing people in and out, so it may not be the very bottom amount either. But that's something that, through the code rewrite, is something that we still haven't settled on, and where this would be creating a new CC1 parcel, potentially, if the land use amendment was approved in a subsequent zone change, we would have to visit the map that has the percentage requirement,
percentage.
because those should go hand in hand. Otherwise, you end up with a new zoned parcel that doesn't have any requirement shown. So I think that amendment would have to happen at the same time to reflect that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to the point that I was making with the where's the line. The reason I was making that point is because there's neighbors that live to the north there, and they've always been under the assumption, I haven't talked to them, but assumption that that would be residential next to them, not commercial. And so I would like to understand a little bit more about the implications of how that would affect the people that directly to the north of them.
Yeah. We haven't spoken to any of them. I'm not sure if
They were on the public hearing, they're at the public hearing for the planning commission.
Yeah, so they were all notified.
Oh, they're starting.
All right, yeah. I would say we, as in staff, hasn't spoken directly with any of them, but they were all notified per the statutory requirements for the public hearing and notifications. But yeah, in the packet, I'm sure there's some extensive comments about all of that.
I think that, just my couple of quick comments, I think that I love the idea that they actually want to bring in ground level commercial, and I think it could work. I think there's some things that you could do, like I would like to see like a little mini grocery store or something like that, because I think that's what these are deal for. I'd almost prefer that there's just no parking there, because like something like this would be great if it was just a walking place, kind of like what we want with the TOD.
Yeah.
Like this project where you have a 5-story building with ground level commercial is great for just walking. That's what like you have in cities. So I would prefer that, and that would solve the traffic problem if it's like a no car development. I don't know if that's what they want. But then I think my biggest problem is like just the height of the building. I think when you have a 55-foot building, when there's nothing even close, I don't know if there's a 2-story building anywhere around there, really. I mean, I guess you have.
Two-story apartments north of
On
Second.
Grand Avenue, there's, a couple of those, but those are multi-level splits on those.
Yeah, but I
complexes
mean,
they
I
have
guess we
there.
have this, we have this building as well, but I mean, in the Harrington Center and things like that, but, and 55, a 6-story building is massive.
Yeah, as well as for contemplation as well for the council, that the setback requirements are not a minimum setback, it's a maximum setback, so you would have that within 5 to 10 feet potentially on the lot line either, so it wouldn't be recessed 30 feet back like we have in some of our other developments. It would be out pretty much on the frontage of the property.
Yeah.
So it may exacerbate the height issue.
Yeah, so that's I think my biggest thing is the height of the building. I think it's just a massive building, just plopped right there. As I said, if they want to go away from parking where it's just like, hey, if you want to live here, there's not going to be cars allowed at this, then maybe that'd be something I said that would solve the traffic. But for me, the biggest thing that wouldn't be resolved is a 6-story building plopped down in that lot. And yeah, like with no setbacks or anything like that.
You know what, so, I mean, American Fork is a great place, as we know, but, here we are, we're by a state road. It's not just ours, it is a state road, but it funnels a lot of traffic from people around us, neighboring cities, to get into the I-15 core. We have that in other parts. And then we have that line between commercial and residential. And how do you properly buffer it? So Patrick, you're hearing, I think, a real good sentiment from everybody up here. There's apprehension. I mean, can you recommend maybe a step to move this forward? I mean, we want to be workable. I guess in a perfect world, can we say, this is what we want, this is exactly what we want, and that's not, let's do it, but give us some ideas and some steps to take. I'm putting you on the spot.
No, you're good.
I love it.
It's good. Trying to think of options. Naturally, our ultimate goal is always to try and remain within the requirements of our zoning ordinance. That's the most simple format forward. The sort of potentially mixed or split type of development in a way under the existing zonings for the property where it's a mix of zonings, but that still doesn't alleviate the parking issue or the ingress-egress issue. I think what was contemplated by the applicant as well, and you see in the packet, is trying to have an additional access point may be the most beneficial way forward to alleviate a lot of those problems. It's a tough one because for the commercial component, you do want significant traffic going in and out, whether that's vehicular or pedestrian. That's the sign of a successful business. I do understand Councilmember Holly's sentiments of if this were something that could be in a more walkable or pedestrian-oriented part of the community, having less parking or having some restrictions of stopping vehicle access coming in and out and having it only for residents that might be in there could help to alleviate some of those challenges. But still, if it's 18 units and there's 36 cars coming in and out multiple times a day, that can be problematic. The controls that we don't control because it's not a city street make it really hard to try and mitigate those impacts. I honestly think alternative access points is probably the best way to address the issue.
But honestly, even with that, Patrick, Grand Avenue?
It's still not a great point of access,
No, there's
isn't it?
no great.
Yeah.
So you're rolling north to Forbes.
Those apartments open that's on 100 East, the new building?
They're close, but they still have.
Are they gonna have parking?
Yeah, it's
Mayor, yes.
Oh, that's because I was actually wondering how that's going, but if they're not open yet, then, because I was gonna say that would be a good
so
case study.
they have a ground floor garage on each of them.
Well, I wonder how is the traffic in and out of it? They're not occupied yet.
We don't know yet, but it's even construction, traffic getting in and out, we've noticed has been challenging. Our inspector's trying to get to site. We drive down and park on city lot and access that way because it takes extra time to get in there, get out there.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I have, yeah, but the one thing that I'm kind of missing in this conversation is it's already zoned CC1 and
Part of the property.
R4 7500. They could build that apartment complex and have that much stuff there already.
Not in the spot they have. They need to buy that home that's in the R4 7500 in order to do what they're doing. So they couldn't do it in their existing, what is in the CC1 now, which is, sorry, I don't know what it's, Jerry Edwards' old building, the State Farm building, and Thrifty Seed.
Why can't they build a CC1 in the existing, in the CC1? Why can't they build whatever they want there?
Oh, they can. I thought you were talking about putting 36 units in.
Well, you can't make, well, if it's R4 7500 and it's CC1,
So to put apartments in R4 7500, you have to have a certain amount of square footage, and then you have to have linear frontage as well to qualify for additional units. So I think that's part of the issue.
okay. I think that's a really good point, I like that. But I think the thing I'm struggling with is it's already commercial on that CC1 right there. And I know that the existing commercial is not like that, but there could be, like, I don't know, it's already there, zoned like that, that we would have potential traffic there if somebody decided to come in and develop.
I believe it's still under contract as well. It's not in ownership, and I think a lot of that may be down to what council would approve, because that will impact the extent of how they can develop. And
Sure.
I'm with you, Stace. I think it would be great to have commercial there, and yeah, we're still gonna have traffic, but are we going to have 36 units worth of traffic? You know, if we have a little, pick something, strip mall, another office building, whatever, we're not going to have that much traffic in comparison to having 36
apartments.
units there. And I know they're one bedroom, so that means only 4 people would live there, if we're judging by the TOD.
It's split, 2-bedroom, half of
Well,
it.
it's also-
Ernie, you missed it. You missed it.
But there are peak times as well,
This
which
project
is
has
unlike a
72
commercial,
parking
which
spots.
will then
So they're
develop
planning
should
on
be
72 cars in this project. That's what their plan is for 72 cars. Or 76, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
but-
recognized. So they're planning
With
for...
288 spots.
Yep.
Well, that's perfect. But so I mean, like, that's what they're planning is 70 cars going in and out of that lot on a daily basis. The project's full.
that would not be considering like 70 cars the entire day. That could be multiple, the trip generation is dependent on the use that would be there, so for the commercial component, if, say it was 30 stalls specific to that, that could be 30 every hour.
Yeah.
It may not be
Residential's
back and
less,
forth.
less trips
You know,
than
leave for work in the
commercial.
morning, back in the evening.
That's why I
It's-
say it's not an insignificant amount of people when you're talking
No.
about 70 spots. I mean, that's why if it was just like a commercial one level like it is right now with an insurance agent, you might have like 10 people going in a day or something like that. I never see people going that lot because it's not being used. But if you had what it's meant to be, what would be nice, what we want it to be to succeed, would you be having, hundreds of people going in that lot on a daily basis?
And to be fair to the applicant as well, when I met with him early on on a concept level for this, because he's working on another project in the city as well, when we discussed this, his main concern was the commercial component. Is a commercial component something that will work there because of that continuous flow of traffic? And would a straight residential not be better? But he understands the goal and vision of the city for the CC1, which is why he's trying his best to actually try and make it
Yes,
fit with
we're
what we're asking
constraining him
for, so
here.
it's,
Yeah,
I do want to
constraining.
be open about his, how he has tried to work with what we're looking to do as well.
Right, this is what we asked for. But he's constrained a little bit because he has this CC1
Yeah.
portion, that he has to do that.
Is the applicant here?
Applicant's engineer.
Is there, I'm just saying, I mean, you can kind of see where we're at here, but we'd love to hear from you, being the applicant.
So Cal Johnson, Legend Engineering, civil engineer for the project. Bryant Bishop isn't able to be here tonight. He's over at the senior night for football team. So that's who has been working with Patrick quite a bit. But we definitely want to address the main concern of traffic. And so we've had an early trip generation study. We've had numerous meetings with UDOT and have gone over how do we help mitigate the impact of our development. Our trip generation study, that there's 14 trips during the morning peak hour and then 16 trips during the evening peak hour. So that's the numbers from the study. And I think, do you have a copy of this that you could? Okay. If you haven't seen a copy, we'd love to get you a copy so that you can take a look at it. But and then to the parking, the 76 that are shown on there, it's based entirely on the code. We're just trying to meet what the code requirement is for the residential and commercial mixed use. And then, in meeting with UDOT, some of the tools, I guess, that UDOT is seeking to help with the traffic is that the access, north access would be restricted to right in, right out. South access, they're kind of kicking back and forth between right in, right out, and potentially allowing left in to that, so a 3/4 access as well. And that's kind of where they stand as far as access restrictions to help with traffic flow. We're also required to have a future shared access agreement with the parcel to the south. So there will be the removal of an access onto 100 at some point in the future, and that access would be moved to what would be our south access, so that basically the lots south of us would have to access through our project to help with that. And then we are still seeking to see if there's an opportunity to access out the east side over to Grand. Brian's had those conversations. I don't know what the latest is on that front, but we are seeking for ways to try to alleviate the concern. Obviously, our project can't be successful if people are banging their heads on their steering wheel every time they try to get out and go do what they need to do every day. And so it's something that we're looking at and trying to make sure that we're addressing as well. What other questions? I know traffic is the big one. And then you brought up a great point about, there's already a portion, 2/3 of this that's already zoned CC1. There's kind of a CC1 and residential use overlap in the land use map and the zoning map. So we're trying to rectify that, but there's also the third parcel that is residential and zoned residential. And so that's kind of, we just wanted to pursue just kind of getting everything in line and adding that third parcel to extend the project, be able to take what is currently 3 accesses, get it to 2, and kind of re-envision that area.
Go ahead.
Thank you. If I could, can I address?
Yeah.
Is that okay? You asked if there were other questions. There's a couple that I have. You mentioned the traffic plan. That was one of the things that was questions that was brought up by the residents. It sounds like we've at least engaged at some level. I think 14 trips is, with 36 units, that seems very low in peak time, but.
That's not a full traffic plan, though. That's just the UDOT, right?
So, this is a trip generation study prepared by Hales Engineering. So they take the number of units, the use, residential, the number of bedrooms and all that, and they run through the green book is what it's called, but they basically run through the numbers of what the use is and everything, and come up with what the demand is.
I would just argue that I think this council or past councils have been burned by trip study plans, but I think common sense tells us if there's 36 units, there's going to be more than 14 trips in a peak hour. That just doesn't seem realistic to me in peak time. The second thing I wanted to you mentioned the south parcel, and I believe, if I remember reading correctly, the owner of that parcel, the insurance agent, he came and spoke and already expressed a concern about he's already got people that are staying in his lot overnight, and that's with his own egress. And if I understood correctly, if we allow this access with 2, the state will require theirs to be removed?
So it would be at a future date, whenever that property would be developed, there would be a future shared access agreement to where when that property redevelops, access would be removed on 100, and it would be through this subject property to get through there.
Which clearly he's not going to want to do. He already expressed that he has concerns about this even without a shared access. He's already got, at least as I read it, that's what I inferred from his public comment in the planning commission meeting.
I think, that the concern is people parking overnight.
And if he has a driveway that goes from their apartment complex into his parking lot, it would not be better, it would be worse, in my opinion.
So it's when that property, the insurance building, would redevelop, that's when that would occur. So
he can sit there like he is until.
Yeah, off the jump, there wouldn't be any
Which
access.
there's a landowner next door.
Still gonna go park there, walk out to the sidewalk, turn around and walk into there.
Well, I'm just saying, I would, if I'm that landowner, I'd have a hard time saying, yeah, go ahead, just build it, and then when I go to develop mine, I'm hamstrung by whatever is developed next door, and I don't have my own egress. There's also a reference in the notes about a train crossing. You mentioned the UDOT coordination. I think one of the things that makes this very unique, it's already I think there was at least one, if not multiple people that mentioned that it's already light to light on First East. And that doesn't really matter it's pretty much any time of day now. It used to be, okay, at 5 o'clock, that's when it'll be. But my question there is, with the addition of the train tracks, there is that whole other part. Has that study been, or has the communication been had?
Yes, so UDOT is still working through that railroad study. We haven't gotten the results back from that railroad study yet. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be due in the next week or so.
Okay. And then parking stalls. Patrick, can you help me understand what the parking requirement currently is with the two different zones, or zones, I guess?
Was it based on occupancy? Is it based on 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom?
It's not yet, and
So
that's
it's-
one of the,
It's going to be based on uses.
Right.
So the commercial requirement, depending on what the commercial/retail use will be, will have a ratio applied to it based on that. And then the unit count, there's a specific requirement in there. Within the CC1 then, as you're all aware, there's a reduction request as well if it triggers certain requirements. So I think it can't drop below 1.25 or 1.7, or maybe,
I
maybe.
think it might be 1.75, but I do remember it
yeah.
is, if
So-
they're by transit, if they,
You can get up to a quarter or more stall off per unit if you can provide or meet certain requirements. But off the top of my head, I can't give you
Okay.
an answer. I can give you one in a couple of seconds though. if you-
no,
you can
I
search
just,
it up,
I
but-
guess I'm just sitting here thinking, but did I hear you correct in that there is a request with this, that it would be triggering a lessening of, or a reduction in the parking
I haven't
requirement?
seen anything because we haven't had a formal application.
This
so
is just
that
the
would
land
just-
use.
that would
It's
just-
just
I know,
Depending on what
but
they
they
said's
flipped
going in
that,
there.
right? I mean, this is new too, because now
Yeah,
we're changing
I
land
think
land use
It
before.
would be speculative,
zone.
but anyone in the current market who's developing, I can't see any reason why someone would not avail of a reduction if there's one available.
Okay. I will just, on the record, reiterate that I want to see us look at parking ratios tied to bedroom units. If there's a legal bedroom unit that needs to have some trigger to a parking, we got just slaughtered in the TOD for this very reason, and I think it's got to be something that we start talking about with regard to here. A single bedroom unit likely isn't as big of a concern in this scenario, because, right, it'll only be 4 individuals, apparently.
Maybe 3
According to
cars.
Councilmember Taylor. But a 2-bedroom unit is very likely going to have at least 2, if not 3 vehicles. I mean, it's very possible that you would have 3 vehicles in that unit. And I just, anyway, so that helps me understand some of my comments, or my questions, I mean, so.
you know what?
Wouldn't shared parking almost dictate that the businesses that are there can't function at night because then it's going to be residential at night? I mean, would that not be the type of
Yeah,
business?
if they chose shared parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay, I want to say also on the record, this area is older, and I also have concerns, and I have the same concerns we all have, but we're making it virtually impossible to do anything in the area. And unless we literally want nothing ever to happen, we need to make some decisions about what that looks like. Because if you can't build anything, then the result is just letting it go.
Has there been a presentation of anything that does fit in the zone currently? Have you seen anything that does fit? I mean, that's the point, right? 2/3 of this does already fit, and
Yeah.
there is a way to do it. I've said it before, but it's not our responsibility to make a development pencil.
You would have
Yeah.
the same, we would have the same concerns, the height and the traffic would all be the same.
I
The whole
think,
point of having the downtown zone, and I appreciate that, because we've said all along that the way we can monitor downtown development is if you can park it, great. Then get me enough parking to make sure that that fits. But don't come, in my opinion, I'm not in favor of coming in with a reduction request because, hey, we can build this thing 65 feet tall, and I'm going to build it on a footprint that's so narrow, so that then my parking, it's a function of the ground floor space, not a function of the entirety of the building. So if it's a 37-story building, and it's a footprint of 1,800 feet, great, I only have to have one teeny little commercial spot in there.
Sure.
And it's 7,000 feet tall, right?
Yeah, I can't speak for the applicant. I'm not sure
That
if
was
it's...
probably sarcastic, exaggeration, but.
I don't know the financing component of it. The issue with the current residential, like medium, high-density residential zoning, or land use designation, I should say, and zoning, is that there's a minimum square footage requirement, and then there's a linear frontage requirement to be able to get multiple units. I don't think they trigger that. And then the problem with just proceeding with the CC1 zone parcels is that it's not wide enough to be able to put something in. So I think there's a design constraint there to be able to not necessarily maximize development, but get sufficient frontage for the development that we're asking for as a city, and still have, an access and everything else that we require from a land use and engineering requirement. I think probably side triangles are probably an issue if we want out front, but then we've got a very narrow access way. I think having sufficient, I think you and I had spoken about it, I think having sufficient width to meet fire code access requirements. So there's a lot of different things that are kind of challenging with that. Is there anything that the council needs in terms of like more information that helps you make a decision one way or another, or?
For me, I mean, I want to talk to Tony, but I can do it later if we want to table it, so he doesn't have to speak in front of everybody.
You know, here's where my mind's dwelling a little bit, because I think the decision we make and what I'm hearing is, it's almost like, do we want to really go back and bring out the CC1 zone and look at it in an entirely different way? Because we do have to have some options. Do we not like them? I mean, yes, it has some reduction in parking. Now we're seeing a trend where parking is just, it's so unpredictable. Kids are just subletting and congregating into 2 bedrooms, and you have parties, and those are kind of trendy things. So I think, do we want to, again, part of the decision where we go, do we want to go back to the CC1 and try to see if there's something that we missed? Because if not, we're going to just hit roadblock every time.
That's what, yeah, I think you're right.
And I'm with you on all of that, I really am. But honestly, this is the first thing that we've had come to this thing at this point.
Yeah.
And just because at present, and I'm pro-development, I think you guys have done a great job with the explanation of the whole thing. It made this thing so much easier to understand and digest. I have no doubt it would be a quality project if we go in there. But I'm not going to support doing something that I see being detrimental based on the fact that if we don't allow this and if we don't go this way, then we're not going to have anything. I mean, this is literally the first thing that's come to us. We don't know if there will be anything. Maybe it will cause additional creativity in what we can do there with developers. Maybe it's something where, Mayor, you talked about, we bring the CC1s back up and we decide if something needs to change. And I don't know, because I see this going to be a problem all along Pacific or all along 100 north of that. We've got a really difficult situation right in this particular area with the train tracks, with First East being a state road, and then
Narrow lots.
Yeah.
The narrow lots is what's causing a lot of the
problems.
problems.
So,
Yeah.
I'm with you, I get it, but I can't roll forward with this just because what else are we gonna do? I mean, it's the first one, I'm willing to give it some legs.
I think
and let it go.
it's, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it is that, and I did say that, well, not in those words, I guess, but the sentiment, but I also think that there is land use there that we've already said, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, and somebody could build something there right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note, and I think we ought to make this part of the public, this development we've been referring to, it would have not fit under the CC1. It came in before the CC1 zone was enacted. The zone that it's in had been there for 30 or 40 years. Nobody had just looked at it with the ability to think, let's take that house. down and look at it holistically. So, all right, you know what, I think we have a lot of concerns. I mean, let's start thinking of how we want to move on this. What's the proper way to get what we think is right for people?
Sorry, I don't have.
I'll go, folks. You're probably not going to be in everyone's favor here, but I don't see any need of tabling it. I don't think we've got something that we need to look at that's going to require that. We're looking at the land use. I just think, so Mayor, I move to deny the resolution for the land use map amendment located at approximately 148 North, 100 East, American Fork City, from the residential high-density land use to the general commercial land use designation.
I'll second.
I hope we can do something. I hope we can.
A motion by Councilman Taylor, second by Councilmember Hunter, and I think maybe too, there's something to be said about those fringes where the commercial meets
Feathering.
residence.
Some sort of a feathering.
We seem,
We still have a general plan coming up, and that's something that we probably ought to look at,
Yeah.
of what we want north of First North. If we want any just use or anything, so that's still something we can consider.
I mean, one of the things I have been concerned about in general in the CC1 is not just this parcel, but other parcels. They're limited in what they can do. They can't redevelop in any way because of the code. So if we're looking at the CC1, like, I don't want to be completely permissive where we allow everything, but making it a way that we can redevelop our downtown, that I want to make that a viable option.
And can I piggyback on that? The one thing that came up that I meant to mention and I didn't was the idea of this kind of mid-block boundary designation. We've talked about that and I don't remember talking about it on First North as much as we were talking about it on First South.
Yeah.
And that, where is the boundary? A street can become a little more of an ability to feather that. When we do have, I had perhaps misunderstood or misremembered that there is a need for maximum setback requirements. And if we have that boundary right at somebody's property line, the neighboring parcel is 55 straight feet up
That's what I'm worried about.
on the property line. That's really concerning when you're not feathering, and so maybe there needs to be some sort of a feathering component to that so that we don't run into this where we have, people going like this, trying to see their neighbors.
And we want to ensure people can develop under the zoning, but at the same time, it needs to be the right type of development, because when it gets built, it's not going away in any of our lifetimes, and it's the future of our community, whether it's positive or negative.
okay. Good points. I got a motion in a second. I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to item number 2, is a review and action on reallocation of American Fork City Parks and Library Park Tax Project Funds. Is there any questions that, thank you for staying, Anna. If there's any questions, Derek. Is it clear to everybody what it is? Derek has, we're going to have him come up and talk about perhaps an alternative on where to allocate some of these funds.
Thanks, Mayor and Council.
Can we, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, Pud.
I thought I'd just recognize real quick Kimberly and Karen from the park board. Make them. Should be great. There we go. We ready?
Ready.
All right. So I think you have the background information and the recommendation, so I can answer any questions, but I thought I wouldn't be unprecedented. I just thought I'd let you know I do have some possible alternative projects that the funding could be allocated to that are city projects, and the ones I would, I guess, offer for a suggestion are ones that are currently funded through Park that would allow us to do more at those projects. So I can share those if you're interested, but it would be a possible option to reallocate those to other city projects.
I think it's worthy to talk about them, only because we can use this motion and this time to actually reallocate rather than bring it back. Is that?
I love that idea,
doable?
Mayor. Can I request that we also hear from them too, or at least hear I assume the Park Tax Committee is given some sort of a, or maybe they can remind us what their original thoughts were on it, I don't know.
We just notified them of the meeting.
Oh, okay, all right, that's great. Maybe we can I'll just ask questions about what their original intent was.
So we have one currently from Monarch Park, is an ongoing park where we have a lot of amenities that we can continue to expand the trail system, wayfinding signs, tree plantings, things like that out in that park. We're adding a new playground. We've already done a ton of tree work, added some fencing, and so it's just a great facility. We're trying to bring a lot more traffic to there. So Monarch Park, we have the amphitheater, which is funded to replace the concrete in the bottom of the amphitheater of the stage area. But there is additional concrete and improvements that we could do in that facility to make it nicer for the events that we host and all the weddings and activities that go on there. And then Rotary Park, we're kind of wrapping up that project, but I asked Jason if you had a dream and a wish. We turfed pitcher's mound and home plate and a stripe all the way. He would love to turf the baselines. And so that just cuts down on the wear and tear, the required maintenance and work of the city crew, and it'd be a great, it would just add to what we've been able to accomplish there. So those are probably the top three that are active right now.
Would that cover, this reallocation would cover all of those, or it would be ones of those that would?
It's only 22,000.
Yeah, it's only
Right, that's
22,000.
that's exactly what I'm trying to find out.
So they're each, well, Rotary and Amphitheater could probably go together, but Monarch would be probably by itself to make the most impact.
Okay, so we do Monarch on its own, or Rotary and slash amphitheater, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Rotary we could do for about 8,000, those baselines, so you could do 8,000 there and 14 to Monarch,
Okay.
and do both
Did
of
we
those.
do the outfield at Rotary?
No, we did not do that.
Okay. Is that on the
That's
docket?
That's a big one.
That's a big one, that, we want to do that, but we
Okay.
did the whole infield.
Yeah,
New sod.
I've seen it all, but,
Yeah,
yeah, it looks amazing, I just,
so we could do a split of any of those actually.
okay, yeah.
I don't have really anything against this, other than I know that a big chunk of that was coming from library funds, and all of these would go, am I misunderstanding?
8 and 14.
Yeah, and so all of it would be then be going to parks. I don't know if that factors in. I love the library to get the funding they awarded.
Tell me, I did not catch that. Tell me what the.
So 14,000 of it's coming from parks projects and 8,000 is coming from library projects, as far as the amount being returned.
Is there value in taking 22 and putting it into the library? Is there something there? I know we have not funded a teen room or something.
Yeah, we're going to
A
come
bunch
back
of
this year with
things,
another
yeah.
application for the teen room. It's bigger than that. I think the next one out of the library, we want it to be a little bigger than that. We're doing some good work now, but the next step is a little bit bigger. Yeah, than 22,000.
So there's nothing that's $22,000 or less in the library?
There is. I could look at active projects. I thought projects that we've already applied for, so that the committee and you guys had
Like
already
these
seen
are
applications.
these are already parked.
Yeah.
PARC.
Projects we've applied
Projects,
for.
okay, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
so this, she doesn't have any active right now.
Okay,
Okay, that makes,
okay.
that's helpful.
Yes, just a real quick question, and maybe this is obvious, or, so the Monarch Park gave back $21,000 from this, because it only spent $8,000 out of $30,000 awarded?
No,
they're
we're
still gonna
still
spend that.
doing work.
So, well,
Right
just,
now.
it says that, so that $21,000 difference isn't part of this $22,000?
No, it's under continuing project.
Okay, I just,
So-
okay.
So that's work that we're still doing.
Not very good, that's still open.
So that's not part of the reallocated, okay, got it, never mind. Okay, yep.
All right.
So tonight, if we just allot this money back into the park budget for reallotment at the time, is that what we're looking to do, or are we looking to choose which projects Derek suggested that we allocate this $22,000 to tonight?
Well, I think that we're bound by by code? I mean, do we have to put an earmark on it exactly, other than just put it back into, whatever? I think we ought to be very specific in the things that you've mentioned. I think that makes it, it adds to what we've already done. Again, the committee, the council's already seen the applications.
So we are picking a project.
We can, and you know what, and we can bring it back. We can give us more information, because this is pretty fast, but yet it's not wasteful, because you could put 40,000 into Monarch Park. I mean, that's a big park. I mean, it's native, it's not like a park you think of with grass and play soccer, but try walking that in the morning. It's unlike any other park that we have outside of maybe down there by the equestrian park. And the trails that can be put in there, just dirt. It's an experience with nature.
Mayor, I actually would love the idea of continuing to grow. I mean, we know parks on the lakeside of town are a big, there's a big request for that. I would be a little leery of, pushing funds that direction in the city, just generally. Not because they don't need them, but we've done a fair amount. You all know how I feel about baseball fields, and Rotary Park near and dear to my heart, but that improvement there is pretty amazing ball fields. So, base paths being redone, I don't know. I would love to see Monarch Park. I didn't really even know about that park until we went down and renamed it and had the third graders come in here. And speaking about people that can make a difference, there's a third grade class that literally changed the entire, trajectory of that.
We're on Monarch USA's roadmap now. They know we're here because of that park.
So that, I guess, if we're looking for a suggestion, that's one of the things that I would be totally in favor for.
I love Monarch Park too. I think what's happening down there is fantastic. I walk around the hospital and I see what the hospital's got going back there as well, and I think that's great. From a practical standpoint, I think of how much we use the amphitheater and how beneficial it would be to have those improvements made to that. And then, that field down there at Rotary, and that's kind of unique for the areas. We don't have another full-size ball field like that. So I mean, these are three really worthy projects that we could pitch this money towards. I probably would lean to the amphitheater though, just based on use. You think of the concerts in the park and everything that we have going on in there, and I don't know. That's quite an asset. It's like the cemetery wall. There's tremendous history in that and everything else, and preserving that and making that a little bit better. So I think that's three great. But if we're going to pick two tonight, I know which two I'm going to pick.
How far could you get with the amphitheater and then with Rotary Park you're doing, adding on to the turf there? With this 22,000?
So if we did 8,000 at Rotary, we could do the baselines.
Okay.
And then that would be 14,000 to expand. I don't know exactly how far, but we would just expand that with the curbing and the concrete and the flat work.
Are we already doing curbing and concrete at the amphitheater?
Yes.
This would just be an
Yeah, it's already funded to do right now, and so this would just expand that.
Yeah, okay, I'm good with amphitheater.
You know what, is there anything that the Parks Board wants to, you're hearing us, but is there?
Let's hear it.
Karen, Kimberly,
You're not just average residents here.
Kimberly Paulson, American Fork, 31 years. We've always been very supportive of Monarch Park. And so money going there, and same with the amphitheater, because we always debate, is it a park or is it a cultural? We debate that every year because there are so many uses for it, and this helps, a little bit with the cultural side of that, putting it at the stage. We're supportive of both of those projects. There's been a lot of support for both of them. But also I think you're gonna not have a problem with whatever you do with us, because those are three projects that we've been supportive of, both Rotary and Monarch and the amphitheater. So we can't really help you, sway you one way or another. Sorry.
Thanks for weighing in though.
All right, well, you know what? I mean, a motion to just kind of,
So, Mayor, I'll make a motion, and then you guys can change or not approve or whatever. I motion to approve reallocation of park tax funding to close American Fork City Park projects to the award year of 2024, with the exception of the Monarch, well, I'm trying to figure out how we put that in, because it's only Monarch Park. So do I need to mention that with the exception of Monarch Park?
Because that's
Because that's ongoing, right?
it's ongoing.
Okay, with the exception of the Monarch Park Improvement Project, and return excess funds to Quail Cove projects, concrete expansion, and the baselines at Rotary Park. With the amount of $22,708.30.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor and a second from Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
All right, item number 3 is a review and action on an ordinance approving the vacation of a portion of a public right-of-way located at approximately 350 South, 900 West.
After what we've been through, this one seems easy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
I move to adopt the ordinance approving the partial right-of-way vacation at 350 South 900 West related to the Lakeshore Landing subdivision plat, and to authorize the city to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion? We'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Item number 4 is a review and action on approval of a revision to a master service agreement with JUB Engineering Incorporated. Any questions?
Yeah, I did have a couple of concerns on this one. Make Sam come up. I think, let's see. This is maybe just an explanation that maybe I need. It's number 12 in the redlined version. They crossed out time is of the essence, liquidated damages, and that's really the thing we have in there that forces them to pay us more if they go over time, if I understand correctly.
Right.
So do we have something, because I think that's pretty standard for us to have, it's usually in our construction contracts.
It's pretty standard with construction. I have yet, in my experience, to do this with an
Engineer.
actual consultant, yeah. It's not to say that it can't happen, but I typically haven't ever had that. They're usually really good to turn those things around. And usually if it's going over schedule, it's usually some sort of owner-induced change order where we had scope creep.
Yep, they've had to do,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I think we have added these in typically because we've had problems. I don't know about engineering, agreed, but that's why we've just started adding them to our contracts. So that was really my one big question. If you feel comfortable with it, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Is that a request, I'm sorry? If I could piggyback on that, is that a request from them or a request that we change? I was trying to see.
Looks like a request from them.
It does. Part of it is blocked out by the text on the right, so it will pay for something.
I think will pay for damages resulting from delays. I think it's damages. I'm not sure what that word is, to be honest with you. Caused by failure to perform.
And I guess that, it's a great question, because, okay, you're willing to, but if there's no teeth in the contract to do that, I don't know.
Yeah, and I would actually defer to Heather on some of these as well.
So the ability to assert damages against JUB would still be allowable under the contract. There just wouldn't be a liquidated amount. What the liquidated damages provision does, it says, parties, we're not going to fight about how much this has damaged the city if JUB doesn't perform. We're just going to agree that for every day that you don't get your job done, it's going to cost $100. So they have requested that that be removed from the agreement, not because they want to get out of damages, but because their insurance provider doesn't like liquidated damages. And My understanding is, and I wish JUB were here to speak to it, is my understanding is that it might cost more for their coverage to have a liquidated damages provision in it. That's my best guess on their reasoning behind this, as opposed to actual damages, like prove up, city, how much you are being damaged on the daily. Does that help at all?
Are there instances where we've had to, you mentioned you haven't seen it, have we as a city ever run into a situation where we've claimed damages or?
Not that I know of. I'll let David speak to it.
Well, typically not on the design side. So we've had projects, construction projects that have lasted longer and have gone into that time period, but typically not on the design side.
So what kind of mechanism do we have to push them if, I mean, obviously, we won't work with them again if they don't perform.
We're not going to pay them until they actually provide all those services as well. That's part of it too, is we manage it and they bill accordingly, and we don't let them bill 100% if we've only received 50% of the deliverables too.
Okay, so there's a mechanism in there.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
And at any time, we got a 30-day cancellation if they're not performing.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still cancel it.
Yes, well, we use them now that they do all of our plat reviews and things like that on the private development side. And then if we decide to use them for surveying services or design services, that's when we would execute the agreement as well. But right now, it's mainly when they do our plat reviews for our development projects.
And how are they performing in that?
They're performing well.
They're hitting our, I mean, I know the state's come down hard on that.
Yeah, no, they haven't missed a deadline for that at all.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Tackle it then.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the revised master services agreement with JUB Engineers Incorporated and authorize the city administrator and the city engineer to enter into said agreement.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember John. Second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Okay, item number 5 is review and action on an ordinance approving a code text amendment known as Administrative Site Plan Approvals of the American Fork City Municipal Code, amending section 17.6.101. The code text amendment plans to amend the site plan approval process. This is coming back to us, but Patrick, can you just refresh memories?
Yep. Earlier in fall, we had this come before you just to try and provide an administrative process for minor amendments to existing approvals or existing projects. And council had some good suggestions of amendments to make in terms of layout and order. So Heather kindly went ahead and helped us get all of that put together, and it's back before you in that form. I think it's more of a layout amendment rather than any substance of changes.
Thank you. It makes sense to me now. Thank you.
I preferred it the other way, but.
All right, it looks like everybody's silent. I'm going to call for a motion.
I move to approve the proposed code text amendment amending section 17.6.101 titled Administrative Site Plan Review relating to DRC site plan approval for the site plan amendments and providing an effective date for the ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Okay, item number 6 is a review and action on the award of the contract for the fiscal year 2026 crack seal projects to Superior Asphalt LC.
I mean, this is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I would move, I like that little addition there, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move that the city award the fiscal year 2026 crack seal project in the amount of $125,000 $2,084 per ton to the responsible low bidder Superior Asphalt LC and approve the construction contract as presented. When we specify the responsible low bidder, that doesn't mean we're choosing the lowest price. We're choosing the one that provides everything that we need inside of the amount of money that we have budgeted for. Sorry, Patrick, I just enjoy looking at you so much. Sam, thank you.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye. I think I said aye twice. No?
Okay, item number 7 is review and action on the award of the contract for the fiscal year 2026 slurry seal project to Morgan Pavement Maintenance.
Mayor,
I
I
move-
would, go ahead.
I move that the city award the fiscal year 2026 road overlay project in the amount of $81,620 to the responsible low bidder, Morgan Pavement Maintenance, and approve the construction contract as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter? Aye. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Item number 8 is a review and action on the award of the contract for Caveman Boulevard, 600 East, 300 North Traffic Signal Project to Infrastructure Power Group LLC. Long debated, and we're here. So,
Mr. Mayor, can I say, as I drive 300 North multiple times a day, it's about time. This one, so, Mr. Mayor, I move that the city award the Cape Bend Boulevard 600 East, 300 North Traffic Signal Project in the amount of $116,998.58 to Infrastructure Power Group LLC and approve the construction contract as presented.
we have a motion by Councilmember John,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
I do drive Third North multiple times.
You know,
I grew up on
since
Third, I grew up on Third North.
they invented the ability for our
Less than a half a
emergency,
block from my life.
our emergency personnel to control that light and just go right through it to the hospital, technology's made it easier for us. Okay, item number 9, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion by Councilmember John,
Second.
second by Councilmember Taylor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.